Let's talk some New York Jets football. My name is Jake Asman. This is a bonus Jake Asman show right here on a Tuesday late afternoon slash early evening. I work for ESPN Radio here in Houston. We're airing the Astros game right now against the Chicago White Sox. I'm normally on the radio right now. I'm going on as soon as this game essentially ends. So I figured, you know what? I got some time right now before I head into work. Why don't we talk a little Jets, because this game's not very good. The Astros are up 7-1 in the bottom of the eighth inning, so we're going to end up getting Red Sox and Astros in the ALCS. With that being said, any Jet fans who are watching this, if you have a question or a comment, fire it in, and we'll talk some Jets here in this video. Let's use this as a therapy session for my fellow Jet fans. A lot of people very upset. A lot of people want to maybe jump off the ledge. Whatever the case is, let's talk some Jets football here. So if you have a question or a comment, write it in, and I will be sure to try and address it here in this video. I think I'll start with this little big picture message for every Jet fan out there. The sky ain't falling at 1-4. All right. We are way too early to be this upset with the state of the team. Now, last couple of years, I was as upset, negative, downright pissed as anyone, but I'm not doing that just yet. I got to see this process and see how it plays out. And I think there's been overall enough good, despite the 4 losses, for me to not freak out off a 1-4 start. So what I mean is, big picture, I still believe in the direction this team is going. I have confidence in the general manager, whose Jamal Adams trade looks better by the day. The Herndon trade, 4th round pick for that guy, absolute steal. Finding John Franklin Myers off waivers, absolute steal. Signing him long-term, great move. Bryce Hall, 6th round pick, great move. So I could point to things that have worked out for the Jets, even though they're 1-4. And the fact of the matter is, they're 1-4 for a variety of different reasons, mainly being, though, they're the youngest team in the NFL with a first-year head coach, first-year OC, and a first-year quarterback. So while I want to win as many games as possible, to me, I need to see progress. And so far at 1-4, with the Jets still being in, out of all their 4 losses, still being in the mix in, let's say, at least 3 of them, I don't want to say I can live with that, because I want to win some of these games, but you could see there's progress that's being made for the New York Jets. So it's not perfect. They could have easily won that game against the Falcons on Sunday if they played better in the first half, or the defense can get a stop. So there's still some things they clearly have to clean up. But Jet fans, just remember where this team was last year with Adam Gase, and the year before with Adam Gase, and the end of the Bowles era. It just seems like they're headed in the right direction. I believe in this quarterback. I believe in some of the key players they've been able to discover and develop so far on defense. I think Salah's got the right temperament to handle the situation. Mind you, his mentor, Kyle Shanahan, started 0-7 with the San Francisco 49ers. People wanted to run Kyle Shanahan out of town. Brian Flores, same thing with the Dolphins. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, the Jets are great and this is a Super Bowl team, because we obviously all are aware they're not. And during the games, yeah, it's very frustrating when you see similar mistakes or you lose a heartbreaker. But I think big picture, I still think this team is headed in the right direction. And let's hope they could use this bye week, albeit, it's pretty early to get a bye, but let's hope they could use it to correct, a trend that we've seen with this team, which is obviously, this offense coming out flat. Figuring out that will go a long way towards this Jets team playing a lot better in the second half of the season. So that's my little rant at the beginning. I don't even want to call it a rant. That's kind of my therapy session here. So let's talk. Let's go to some of your comments. I just want to say to anyone watching live, appreciate all of you. And thanks so much to everyone who supports this channel. A reminder, if you're new to the show, you could subscribe by clicking that subscribe button right down there. I think I'm pointing at it right. I don't know. It's a little backwards here through the camera. So that red button, click it, subscribe, continue to help this channel grow. Let's see what we got here. Sam writes in, any thoughts on Salah not referencing Quincy Williams' contributions when discussing Jarrad Davis's return? Who will be the starter? A reporter asked if Quincy will get time, and it was no. So, Sam, I didn't see that. What I'll tell you, though, is this. Quincy Williams was brought in to be a reserve. The way he's played, he's been played in 90% plus of the Jets' defensive snaps since he's been here, I read earlier today. So he's going to continue to see playing time with this team. I have no doubt about that. So I don't know, what Salah specifically said. I didn't see his availability earlier, but I wouldn't worry. I think Quincy Williams has proven he's a solid player. Another good pickup, by the way, by Joe Douglas. And I think he's going to go out there and he's going to get an opportunity to continue to play here. Let's go to this question here from Alistair. Why is Wilson missing throws my 5-year-old could make? Your 5-year-old must have an absolute cannon for an arm. Very impressive. On a serious note, look, I mean, Zach's talking about it. He said that he's shot putting the ball, not just like throwing the ball like he's done his whole life. I think it's just being a rookie in the NFL. There is some nerves that go with it, some just, uncomfortability of playing that position. I think he's going to be fine. I think if you're jumping ship on Zach Wilson after 5 games, specifically when in one of them, he nearly brought the Jets back from the dead in week 1 with no offensive line. And then in the Tennessee game in week 4, he won you the game and was rookie of the week. I think if you're giving up on Zach already, I mean, come on. Look at his numbers compared to Josh Allen's numbers through their first 5 games. Very similar. Everyone knows the stat. Peyton Manning threw 28 picks, and Troy Aikman was 1-15. I don't want to put that on Zach Wilson and compare him to a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I bring these things up just to say patience. I think we've seen the flashes of Zach being a really good quarterback. He's in a much better situation than what Sam Darnold ever was in. So we just got to be patient with Zach, understand there's going to be growing pains along the way. It's frustrating because he played so well against the Titans. To follow that up with a poor game against the Falcons is like a step back, but I think he'll correct these issues early on, and I think the Jets got to continuously do a better job to help him. I have a video coming out tomorrow where I have a really bold idea what the Jets could do on offense, I believe, to jumpstart things for this team. So I'll tease that for tomorrow's video. What do we got here from John? John, thanks for watching. Hey, Jake, not giving up on Zach Wilson or our team. That being said, I'd like to see some changes on how we approach our opening drives. You know what? You guys are watching this live. I'll give you the spoiler right now. So I got a full video coming out on this tomorrow with some numbers to back it up. I think one thing the Jets could do is up tempo right from the start. Up tempo, no huddle, have a sense of urgency just to get Zach into that rhythm. We've seen him have a lot of success when he's had the opportunity, to kind of get in that 2-minute offense where he's not thinking as much. He's just playing football. And my really bold suggestion, I'll have more on this once again tomorrow, I think Mike LaFleur should be calling the plays from the coaching box. He had said previously that's where his, preferred place to be for the game was, but he moved down to the sideline because Robert Saleh asked him to be there for Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson was more comfortable having LaFleur with him on the sideline. I wonder if they could come together here during this bye week and see if LaFleur going back to the coaching box could make a big difference in just maybe the readiness for the Jets at the beginning of these games. I wonder if that could be, a real factor here for the New York Jets if they try something like that. I don't know if it's going to work, but I think that's something you could do to maybe switch it up a bit, right? Get LaFleur back to where he was the most comfortable with the 49ers. And now that, the Jets have, had 5 games, let's remember here, they were expecting to have Greg Knapp, who tragically passed away a week and a half, 2 weeks before training camp. Matt Cavanaugh was the quarterback coach they brought in to replace Greg Knapp. He was basically new. Like, he hadn't been with Zach Wilson throughout the course of the offseason. Now he's been with Zach Wilson for at least 5 games. So maybe Cavanaugh could be the guy on the field and LaFleur can return to the coach's box. That's a bold suggestion that I have to maybe see, what this Jets offense can do to start games off a lot better. Rich points out we do have Seattle's pick. We got that going for us. Yeah. How great is this, Jeff fans? You get the root against Geno Smith, and it benefits your team if he plays poorly. In the past, when you'd be rooting for Geno Smith, and he would play poorly, it would hurt your team. Now you get the root against him, and it benefits your team. It's like the bizarro world that we're living in, but that is essentially the case right now. What do we got here? Samong, Saleh needs to keep LaFleur accountable. If the offense continues like this, we might have to look for a new OC. Look, LaFleur is not on scholarship here. The Jets continue to have these issues throughout the course of a 17-game season in the first half. I can promise you Mike LaFleur is not going to be back as the OC next year. So I don't think you fire him. I think you got to make adjustments and give him more time. This is unfortunately what happens when you have first-year quarterback with first-year OC with a first-year coach, and then, the roster is the youngest in the NFL. It's unfortunate growing pains that we're dealing with here. What do we got here? Can we get Mims on the field already? Yes, I have a funny feeling in this Jet fan therapy session, the get Mims on the field is going to be a very popular topic of conversation. I couldn't agree more. I've said it over and over again. I don't care if he doesn't know the full playbook. He does enough things well to warrant more playing time. I go back watching the film in this game on Sunday, and there was like a big 3rd and 11 in this game. I forget specifically where it was. And the Jets did not have the following receivers out there on the field to try and pick up, once again, at least 11 yards on a 3rd and long. They did not have Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore, or Braxton Berrios on the field. Explain that one to me. How are those guys not out there? I mean, say whatever you want about Berrios. He's made plays. How are the Jets not finding a way to get the ball to some of their more explosive players? Jamison Crowder is a very good player. Corey Davis is a very good player. You got to find a way to get more Elijah Moore in this offense. You got to find a way to get more Denzel Mims in this offense. I mean, I don't know what's taking so long. I think that's something that has to be done. What do we got here? Our guy, hand over fist. Zach is still a baby. He's 22. Give him time. No one's given up on Zach Wilson after 5 games. If you are, you're not a real fan. Or you didn't like the pick from the beginning and you're trying to justify that you were right before anyone else was on the pick. The reality is, compare Zach Wilson to any of the rookie quarterbacks and you tell me who is the guy that the Jets made the biggest mistake not taking, right? I mean, they've all had moments where they have really struggled. That's the reality here. It's not going to be easy. The Jets were a 2-win football team last year. We have to remember that. It's going to be growing pains in the process here. What do we got here? I'm not jumping ship on Wilson, to be clear. I didn't think you were. I don't think really any real Jet fan would be. A bunch of questions I see here about Marcus May. Let's go to Derek for this one. Thanks for watching. Derek, where could May be going to? I don't know if the Jets are going to trade him. Now, it's not as easy as, just trade him and get whatever for him. Marcus May is making a lot of money for a safety that's going to be coming off injury. Personally, if you say, Jake, do the Jets trade Marcus May? I don't know if they do. I think they will either franchise tag him and then trade him, or they might just straight up let him walk in the offseason. I just don't know if the value is going to be there for May. And if you're only going to be able to get like a 5th-round pick for him, which is what I've heard from folks, I don't know if it's worth trading him for a 5th-round pick. Like, he's still a good player, could help this defense. I think even though the Jets are still rebuilding, any win you could get helps your team long term. Like, you're not tanking for a quarterback like you were last year, essentially, right? When the fan base was rooting for the Jets to lose, so Gase would be gone and you start fresh with a new QB. That's not the case this year. So I think, you want to see some wins along the way. So just so Robert Saleh could point to progress being made and you have the buy-in from the rest of the team, Marcus May is still a good football player. So I wouldn't just give him away. I don't think it benefits the Jets just to get rid of him. I don't think you're going to get much for him. So I wouldn't just get rid of him. What do we got here? Zach will be such a breath of fresh air once he and the team get their bleep together. I agree. I think there's no doubt Zach Wilson has shown you the ability that he can be a very good quarterback in this league. We unfortunately have to just be patient and see what this team can do going forward. Our guy Joey B here. Jake, the new smoked brisket at Chipotle, rate it 1 out of 10, 10 being the best. This might surprise folks, but if you have not had the brisket at Chipotle, you got to try it. It is excellent. I went in cautiously optimistic just because the last time I was really excited about something Chipotle was doing, they unveiled the queso, which is garbage. Sorry. I mean, I love Chipotle. I go there 17 times a week pretty much. But the queso there is just not good. Everything else is great. The guac, everything about it. I could do a whole podcast breaking down Chipotle and my Chipotle order and, what it takes to maximize your bowl order at Chipotle. But as far as the smoked brisket, I went in skeptical. It's very good. If I'm going to give it a rating, I'd probably go 8.5 out of 10. Excellent. And I'm in Texas, mind you. I live in Houston, where there's incredible barbecue, incredible smoked brisket, incredible Mexican food around me. And let me tell you, the smoked brisket at Chipotle, very, very good. So I'm giving you the Jake Asman stamp of approval on that one. Hayden Nate writes in, I have a problem with having Crowder and Moore together. You got to let these two play in the slot. I agree, and this was a complaint I had about Adam Gase, so I'm going to make the same complaint here with Mike LaFleur / Robert Saleh, because ultimately he's the head coach, so he has the right to make changes if he wants. So Saleh's got to be lumped into this as well. Last year with Berrios and Crowder, Gase couldn't play them at the same time because they're both in the slot. Figure it out. The best teams find a way to get their best players on the field and coach to what they do well. I think Elijah Moore is better suited as a slot. Not saying he can't be an effective outside threat, but at Ole Miss, Elijah Moore was dynamic for a lot of the plays that he made in the slot. And so far, if you look at where Elijah Moore has done a lot of his playing time, it's been on the outside. I think you got to use a little Elijah Moore more in the slot. Use Crowder in the slot. Rotate them in and out if you have to. I don't know what it's going to take, but I think Elijah Moore has talent. You don't flash the way he did all summer and then not be able to do it at all in the regular season. So they're going to unlock that talent. It's just a matter of how do they do it. So let's see. Lindles writes in, I hope this team won't fall apart. So many expectations, and they're so young. Hope the coaching staff can stay optimistic and keep going. I don't think this team will fall apart. I think one thing you could credit Robert Saleh so far that we have seen that was just not apparent by the end of the Todd Bowles run and not apparent basically for most of the Adam Gase run. The Jets have had a couple games this year where if Gase or Bowles were coaching them, they would have been blown out. Let's use week 1 as an example. The Jets are down 16-0 in that game, and they fought back to lose 19-14, came within an onside kick of getting the ball back with a chance to drive down for the win. What's the final score of Adam Gase is coaching the Jets? 35-0? Like, that's where we were headed. And how many times did we see that with Gase and then at the end of Bowles, where the Jets would get down and they would fold like a cheap suit? Like, they fell apart constantly when they faced adversity early. I mean, the Jets, even in this game against the Falcons, to their credit, they fought back and they made it interesting in the second half. It wasn't good enough. Defense couldn't get off the field. Wilson and the offense struggled in the first half. We all recognize that. But they have fought in all these games, right? Even in the Bronco game, the Jets defense didn't quit and the offense scored 0 points. Like they played hard to the bitter end. The Patriot game, the same thing. Wilson just had an awful performance against a Bill Belichick coach defense. So, I just think ultimately here, the coaching staff, I think, has done a good job so far as just the buy-in from the players. There's no doubt, though, as the losses keep piling up, they're going to be tested. Are you going to continue to have that same buy-in from a team that's losing each and every week? That's why I think this bye week is so important. You got to fix this offense. You got to fix the inability for them to do anything in the first quarter of these games and really the first half of these games. So that, that buy-in, you never have to worry about it if the Jets are playing competitive games. So I'm not worried about it at this point, but I think it's a fair concern. If they keep getting off to these terrible starts, are you going to have a unified team? So far, I think the Jets have been unified. The players have said the right things. I think Saleh's done a good job coaching them up. That's something to watch for, though, if they continue to struggle here. What do we got here? Jets gang. We don't get a 3 for May. Let's keep them. So you're going to keep them for the end of the year, but you're not going to keep them long term. The Jets have essentially told you they don't value Marcus May and think he's deserving of a long-term deal. Now, we could argue and debate whether that's the case. I was all for signing him at the right price, but I'm not overpaying for him. I think he's an expendable player. I don't think safety is a difference-making position in the NFL. And everyone that said, oh, well, Joe Douglas just doesn't want to spend any money, he paid John Franklin Myers. Why? Because he's an ascending player, young, and plays a premium position. Those are the guys you pay. You don't pay safeties. You don't pay box safeties who can't cover $18.5 million. So what you do is you trade them for 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick, and you make one of the great trades in the history of the NFL. That's what you do. So Marcus May is not even close to Jamal Adams, and I wouldn't pay May either. So that's kind of where we're at right now with that. Joey B also writes in, Joe Klecko should be in Canton. Damn right he should. Joe Klecko made the Pro Bowl at 3 different defensive line positions. Klecko belongs in Canton, Ohio. He belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And so I had a Klecko's son on my radio show before. He played for the Patriots, played for the Eagles, also played at Temple. Great guy, Dan Klecko. And we were talking about this. I told him that I do a Jets YouTube channel. And he's like, yeah, keep supporting my dad. I appreciate it. So, look, I'm all about it. I think Klecko belongs in Canton, Ohio. No doubt about that. Let's see. At least we have the Ithaca Bombers, Jake. Yeah, by the way, not only do we have the Ithaca Bombers, but we have the Ithaca Bombers playing great football, undefeated. What are they, like 5-0 right now in Ithaca, New York? I mean, Dan Swanstrom and the boys, they're back after a season off. Ithaca College football, look, they might be the best football team in New York. I know the Bills are pretty good, But watch out for Dan Swanstrom and those Ithaca Bombers, man. They're coming to Yankee Stadium in 2022 against Cortland. I mean, come on. It's not even going to be a game. Bombers going to dominate at Yankee Stadium like they dominated at MetLife Stadium in 2019. Alexander writes in, what do you think of Ashton Davis last week? To be honest, I didn't think he did anything of significance. I don't know how he graded out. I didn't see what the PFF ranking was for Ashton Davis. Maybe someone watching has that, and you could put it in the comments. He made a couple plays. I didn't see him get burned a lot. I just think it's one of those games where he has to continue to work himself back, and it's too early to evaluate what he is yet as a player. Freddie writes in, Jake, how about Seattle? Draft pick is getting higher. Gino still working for the Jets. Yeah, Freddie, we were talking about this earlier. If there's one positive to this Jets season so far is that the Jamal Adams trade continues to look better by the day. The New York Jets won the deal at the time, and this is not revisionist history. I said it. Look, I wanted them to keep Jamal at the beginning of all that, but when it became obvious they were going to rebuild and he was just going to be an absolute, a-hole about the entire thing, it was like, get this guy out of here. Like, you can't pay him that kind of money. It's not going to work. They could be 2-14 with or without Jamal. So I was all about trading him. Now, seeing that the Jets are in a position here where they already turned that first round pick into Elijah Vera Tucker, who's been the number 1 rated offensive guard in the NFL the last 2 weeks. He's going to be a stud. I said it at the time. We're seeing it now the last 2 weeks. And you now have another first round pick in a year in which Seattle could be looking outside the playoff picture. It's one of the great trades that we have seen. Also, I think it's worth noting the Sam Darnold trade looks better by the day as well. I know people maybe haven't followed every bit of Sam, but you saw highlights and he looked like he was Michael Vick and the Panthers were winning all these games. Sam Darnold, his last couple games, 3 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He full on melted down against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. They lost a terrible game at home where they scored 3 points in the second half. Mind you, the Jet Panther game, Sam Darnold only scored 3 points in the second half of that game. So as Freddie writes in here, it has been same old Sam. And I'm not rooting for him to do poorly, but I like to point out that he's struggling because there were so many people that rushed to conclusions after week 1 when Sam beat Wilson that the Jets made a mistake. And that was asinine. You could never compare Zach Wilson this year to Sam Darnold. When Zach Wilson gets at least, let's say 2 years, but really 3 years in the NFL, let's see how he compares to whatever Sam Darnold is. So the Darnold trade looks even better because you got a second round pick for that guy. If Sam Darnold was about to be traded now, no one would give you anything that close to what you got. You got a second and a fourth for Sam, and the Jets have put themselves in position now with 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. So like the Sam Darnold trade for the Jets has worked out. They were not going to be good this year with Sam Darnold. And Carolina already picked up his option for $20 million. You think Sam Darnold's worth $20 million? Give me a break. I cover the Texans locally here. The Panthers are going to be in on the Deshaun Watson situation. Their owner's impatient, David Tepper. He's going to want to star. Sam's not that guy. And I like Sam. I want to see him do well. But the reality is, without Christian McCaffrey now, the last couple of weeks, look what's happened to Sam Darnold. He can't check it down 1,000 times. Even in that week 1 game against the Jets, did Sam Darnold play that well? Like, he made the nice throw to Robbie Anderson and busted coverage. What else did he do in that game? Oh, he fumbled at the goal line. Typical, like, just baffling Sam Darnold turnover. What else did he do in that game? Oh, well, in the first half, he threw 8 completions to Christian McCaffrey. The second half, he only had 1. How many points did Carolina score in the second half that day? 3. So, like, the idea that Sam's been incredible, it's just, it's not true. The Panthers are 3-2, but he hasn't looked good in the last 2 weeks, and he didn't look great in some of their wins either. So I hate having to like pile on Sam because I like Sam. He's a great dude, and I hope he plays well. But the idea that the Jets somehow made a mistake is nonsense. They haven't. Regardless how Wilson ends up, the move was always to trade Sam and start fresh with a new head coach coming in. So you have the GM picking his own quarterback, picking his own coach. So if the Jets fail, it's new GM, new coach, new quarterback all at once. None of this, well, you fire McHagden, keep Gase, right? And none of this, you fire Tannenbaum, keep Rex. No, you have to put everyone on the same exact timeline. Head coach reports to the GM, GM reports to the owner. So the Jets' power structure now is aligned. Had to be done. So unfortunately, it has been same old Sam thus far, and I don't think that's going to change. He looks like the same player with slightly better players around him and slightly better coaching. Without McCaffrey the last couple of games, look what's happened to the Carolina Panthers. Um, Hand over fist. You don't have to root, just watch, Jake. Yeah, look, Carolina losing does help the Jets, though, because it's a second round pick, but that pick is a lot higher based on every loss. So ultimately, it's not like having a first round pick where you're really following the draft position, but that could potentially be, depending on how it goes for Carolina, a high second round pick. So that's something to look out for here with the Jets and Sam Darnold. What do we got here? Sam is trash. I'll take Zach over Sam any day. I'll say this. I think Zach Wilson's ceiling as an NFL quarterback is infinitely higher than what the ceiling is for Sam Darnold. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Zach's definitely going to be better than Sam. I can't sit here and tell you that for sure. I think he will be, but I don't know that for sure. But I would take Zach Wilson over Sam Darnold. I think Zach's upside is infinitely higher than whatever the upside at this point still is for Sam Darnold. And I think it'd be tough to debate that. Christopher Wright said, I'll never root against Sam Darnold. I won't either. It doesn't make me feel good to have to point out that he struggled. I have to do it because there's too many people that come at me every day being like, oh, Darnold this, and that, and Zach Wilson. It's like, you're not watching. Watch the games. Go talk to a Panther fan and ask them how they feel about Sam Darnold right now. They don't want him. They want to move on. And they gave him $20 million for next year already. So who's taking on that contract next year? I mean, maybe the Texans if Carolina throws in like 4 ones on top of Sam Darnold. But, I mean, come on. In fact, I actually would like that. Bring Sam Darnold here to Houston. Maybe we'll get him on the YouTube channel. Carmelo writes in, even when Zach struggles, he looks better than Sam. I think some of the plays that Zach Wilson has shown you he can make this year are just plays that Sam can't make. That's just the reality here. Like Sam Darnold, I think, could be a good NFL quarterback. It hasn't worked out to this point, but I think Zach Wilson's ceiling, just on like physical traits, I don't even think you can really compare it. I think Wilson's arm is so much better. His mobile, ability is better. I think he's the better quarterback. Now, Sam's got more experience, so he should be better. But I think ultimately Zach Wilson's going to be a very good quarterback in this NFL. Jack writes in, I have 100% confidence in Zach. It's Mike LaFleur that's on the hot seat. Yeah, Mike LaFleur, I wouldn't say he's on the hot seat, but he's not going to get next year. This is a recurring problem for the Jets all year where they're coming out and they're getting mollywomped in the first half of these games. Like you can't be down 20-3 to the Atlanta Falcons. You can't do it. So they have the bye week. We talked about this at the beginning of this video. If you missed it, there's an opportunity for them to correct whatever the heck is wrong at the beginning of these games and try and do something about it, because the reality is something has to change if the Jets are going to be able to win some of these games. You can't continuously put yourself in a hole if you're trying to win a lot of games going forward here. And I understand it's not playoffs this year, but you want to go out there and you want to win as many games as possible to try and build this culture and obviously lay the foundation of success going forward. Mad Genius writes in, I'm getting some Josh Rosen vibes from Zach, and it's getting me nervous. I'm not at all, actually. Josh Rosen might be the worst comparison I've ever heard for Zach Wilson. Josh Rosen was a statue in the pocket. Everything about Zach Wilson's game is exciting. The explosive plays, the ability to move on the run. Josh Rosen was a pocket quarterback. He was a statue back there. So, Mad Genius, with all due respect, I'm not getting vibes about that at all from Zach Wilson. No way, no how. Let's see what we got here. Hit the like button. All right, if you're watching, hit the like button. Do what Hand Over Fist says. You hit that thumbs up button, you click it. It helps this channel continue to grow. And also on the right-hand side, subscribe to the channel. It is beneficial for all that going forward. Let's see. Jack Hawk, do you think implementing some of BYU's offensive scheme could be a solution to the stale offense? To be honest, Jack, what the Cougars at BYU ran was a West Coast offense. It was a similar style offense. I don't think that's the problem. I think it's a bunch of things. And also, the NFL's hard, and Zach's a rookie. I think that's a big reason why we're seeing some issues from a young quarterback here. There's no doubt about that. What else do we got here? Alexander writes in, do you think the Jets needed a new OC to help Wilson or stick with Mike LaFleur? You're not changing OCs now. This is not going to happen 5 games in when Robert Saleh is best friends with the LaFleurs, right? I mean, the Packers head coach was his best man at his wedding was Robert Saleh. So Saleh's not firing Mike LaFleur. He's very close with him. I'm not encouraging a change like that either. I think Mike LaFleur could still be a very good OC. There just needs to be adjustments here. And also, every Jet fan loves to put it on the OC. It's not just the OC. Zach Wilson himself has to get better. He's got to complete some easy throws. Go back and watch the game against the Falcons. I mean, explain to me the throw that goes off the back of Morgan Moses when you're trying to run a screen. Explain to me the throw that's at the feet of a wide open Jamison Crowder with blocking in front. Like, Zach's got to hit the easy throws. He will. He's a rookie. He's struggling, but you can't blame LaFleur for that. Some of these play calls would work if the quarterback plays better. That's why football is a team game. So I'm not out on LaFleur. I'm not out on Wilson. I just think the whole point of this video is basically, a little therapy here. Like, take a deep breath and understand there's going to be growing pains here. And this Jets team at 1-4 is still trending in the right direction compared to where this team has been basically for a decade plus. That being said, I'm about to head out of here. I got to head into work for an abbreviated ESPN Houston show. Normally we're on from 3 to 7 p.m. here in Houston, but because we're airing the Astros game on the station, we're coming on at the end of this game. Astros are up 10-1 right now in the bottom of the 9th inning, so they're obviously going to win. Then we have a post-game show, so I'll probably be on the radio maybe for 30 minutes today. I'm not even sure. That being said, I want to thank everyone who took time to watch this video either live or after the fact. This was a lot of fun. I normally don't get a chance to do anything in the afternoon because of my work schedule. So thanks to everyone who watched. I'm on Twitter if you want to interact, at Jake Asman, Instagram as well, at Jake Asman. You'll find YouTube videos every single day here on this channel. Thanks to everyone who watched. Go Jets and have a good rest of your day, everybody. See ya.